Om Jnana-timirandasya Shanansalam-shalakaya Saksharam-militam Yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So we continue today with
Recording in progress.
with the chapter on the worship of Govardhana. I will first share the verse on the screen where we left up last time. So it's coming. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 24, Text 24. Okay. So, yesterday we heard the introduction to this pastime, where Lord Krishna is asking his father, Nanda Maharaj, what's going on here? Why are all the cowherdmen so agitated? What are they preparing for? And Nanda Maharaj says that yes, they are preparing for the Indra Jagya, because Indra is the rain god, rain who gives rain, that because he gives rain, the grass grows, the grains grow, we get food, the cows get food. So, and this is the source of all our wealth. That of course, then Krishna replies that because mainly the purpose of this pastime is that Krishna wants to curb the pride of Indra. That because he had seen in previous years this Jagya, this Indra Jagya, but he never asked questions. But now, 7 years old, he's asking questions. He wants to know subtly what it is about. Why? Because Krishna decided to take this as an opportunity to curb the pride of Indra, and he had also other reasons to have intimate pastimes with the Vrajavasis by lifting Govardhana 7 days intimately with them. That is a very sweet exchange of loving pastime. And also to initiate a festival for the future for everyone to participate. So Krishna had many purposes. At the end of this chapter, it will say that if someone does not celebrate this Govardhana Puja, then a snake will bite him. But yes, Krishna starts to refute Nanda Maharaj's explanation that so he says yes, that this Indra, he's not really responsible for the rain. He says that the clouds must give rain, and Indra must give rain, because according to the karma of people, if one has good karma, bad karma, he must give rain, or no rain. But then Krishna says, factually, it's Indra who does not give rain. It's the mode of passion, the modes of nature, the mode of passion. When the mode of passion makes the clouds giving rain. And what have Indra to do with the mode of passion? The material nature will give reactions according to the pious and impious deeds of the people, because karma is supreme. And if there is some God, Krishna says, is also under the law of karma. Interesting. Of course, Krishna uses karma mimamsa to convince his father, but he uses also not to conceal himself as the source of everything. That as he is a lawmaker, he has established these laws of nature and the laws of karma, and they are working under his under his order. That I was just reading in the 14th chapter, in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 14, in the purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth. Although without such rains there is no possibility of vegetative growth. The Smriti confirms in the material creation the Lord is the supreme cause. So Karma Mimamsa speaks about the intermediate cause, the modes of nature and the whole law of karma. But who is the ultimate cause is Krishna. And that's not mentioned, but Krishna does not want to mention it because he's the Supreme Lord. and he's the Supreme Lord, but he wants to conceal his identity. But still in this pastime, he will teach the Vrajavasis don't worship Indra, worship Govardhana, and he takes the form of Govardhana, so they worship him. That is his arrangement. Very beautiful. And now we can continue with this pastime. I bring the next verse on the screen. So, who will read text 24?
My dear father, our home is not in the cities or towns or villages. Being forest dwellers, we always live in the forest and on the hills. Thank you.
Thank you. So Lord Krishna stresses that since Govardhan Hill nourishes the cow's occupation is dependent on it. Therefore, Govardhan Hill is worshipable. Because the cows depend on the grass and the water, shadow, everything the cows need, Govardhan Hill is providing. Therefore, Krishna says, we should worship Govardhan Hill. So Sanatana Goswami points out that Krishna rejects the statement, Indra is the agent responsible for the success of Indriya's people. That is what Nanda Maharaj said before. But so Krishna says, no, our houses are in the forest. We never go anywhere else. Since we do not depend on other places, they are not our residence. Our residence is Govardhan, the best of the mountains. So from Krishna book. After hearing this statement by Krishna, Nanda Maharaj replied, my dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmins and for the worship of Govardhan Hill. But for the present, let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Jahya. So Nanda Maharaj said, yes, okay, Krishna, we will do that sacrifice for Govardhan, but let us also do this Indra Jahya, which we have done since many generations. Let us do both. Will Krishna agree? No. Krishna replied, my dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhan and the local Brahmins will take much time. Too much time to do both these sacrifices. Better take the arrangement and paraphernalia you have already made for the Indra Jahya and immediately engage them to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local Brahmins. Nanda Maharaj finally relented. The coward man then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the Jahya performed, and Krishna gave them the following directions. So that's Krishna book, that Prabhupada. So in Krishna book, in Nectar of Devotion, all the qualities of Krishna are explained, and there's one quality in chapter 21, the quality is called fluent. Fluent. A person who can speak meaningful words and with all politeness and good qualities is called Vavaduka, of fluent. There is a nice statement in Srimad Bhagavatam regarding Krishna speaking politely. And then in Nectar of Devotion, this pastime of Govardhan is mentioned. It is said here, when Krishna politely bade his father Nanda Maharaj to stop the ritualistic offering of sacrifice to the rain god Indra, a wife of one village coward man became captivated. She later thus described the speaking of Krishna to her friends. Krishna was speaking to his father so politely and gently that it was as if he were pouring nectar into the ears of all present there. After hearing such sweet words from Krishna, who will not be attracted to him? And so then we go to text 25. Someone read 25.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please read.
Therefore, may a sacrifice for the pleasure of the cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhana hill begin. With all the paraphernalia collected for worshipping Indra, let this sacrifice be performed instead. Thank you.
Yes. So Lord Krishna is Go Brahmanya Itayasha, the well-wishing friend of the cows and the Brahmins. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he adds that the blessings of the Brahmins give directly perceivable results, and therefore they should be worshipped as well. They should be worshipped, so the Brahmins should be worshipped, and the cows and Govardhana. Sanatana Goswami says that the Brahmins are like Vishnu and thus worshipped. Jiva Goswami comments, this worship should be performed with material meant for Indra's sacrifice, because the devatas were useless in supplying livelihood. In using the material of Indra's sacrifice, there would be no extra labor in gathering materials. This would even cause more anger in Krishna. So Krishna said that it's better to use these materials for the worship of Govardhana. Because these demigods are useless in providing livelihood. But Govardhana is our real well-wisher, that he gives us all we need. That Krishna will also say this, our Acharya say, that this Indra, you have done this in Indra for so many generations. Has he ever appeared before you? No, you have never seen him. But here is Govardhana. Govardhana is really there. That he comes and he will speak, we will see. Krishna will take the form of Govardhana. He said that this would produce maintenance of traditional dharma. Because their dharma is the protecting the cows. By the mercy of Govardhana, the cows are protected, are maintained, so that there would be no difference from previous actions, since only unsuitable traditions were rejected, while suitable traditions would be maintained. So he said that is the commentary of Jiva Goswami. I said the coward boys coward men immediately accepted that yes, this tradition of worshipping Indra is useless, but this worship of Govardhana, there we have some benefit, some use. So a non-suitable tradition is replaced by suitable. So Sanatana Goswami adds, Govardhana, the chief of mountains, is worshipable as confirmed by scriptures and local custom. Good. So let many different kinds of food be cooked, Krishna says. That from sweet rice to vegetable soups, many kinds of fancy cakes, both baked and fried, should be prepared, and all the available milk should be taken for this sacrifice. Okay. Now we have, that was 26. Now, can someone read 27?
The Brahmanas who are learned in the Vedic mantras must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts.
Yes. That Kavi Karnapuri, a comment by Kavi Karnapuri. Lord Krishna is instructing, send messages to invite the Brahmins. Feed them sumptuously until they laugh and their faces beam with brilliant garlands. I read it again. Send messages to invite the Brahmins. Feed them sumptuously until they laugh and their faces beam with brilliant garlands. At that moment, the Brahmins will consider the heavenly storehouse of nectar as totally insignificant. Call the priest to conduct a fire sacrifice and to distribute cows and charity to the Brahmins. Those amongst you who are simple-hearted should just try to feed the Brahmins. Thus Lord Krishna really wanted to please the Brahmins and to make them happy by serving them. So Lord Krishna then describes the procedure and all the technical details of the sacrifice to assure the quality of the sacrifice. Text 28. Can someone read 28?
After giving the appropriate food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog eaters, you should give grass to the cows and then present your respectful offerings to Govardhan Hill.
Yes. Here, Srila Prabhupada, he makes a cutting comment in Krishna book. Let's see. From this statement, we learn that although the cats and dogs the cat and dogs that we have now become so which have now become so important are not to be neglected. So Prabhupada said this: the cats and dogs, they are now becoming very prominent. Everyone keeps cats and dogs and becomes a servant of the dog, goes walking with the dogs. That so Prabhupada said they have become so important that cow protection is actually more important than protection of cats and dogs, Srila Prabhupada said. Another hint we get from this statement is that the Chandalas and the untouchables are also not to be neglected by the higher classes and should be given the necessary protection. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society. And some are only indirectly responsible, Prabhupada writes. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken. So it's not that the untouchables were included from the sacrifice. They were also included as a part of the sacrifice. So 29. Can someone read 29?
After everyone had eaten to his satisfaction, you should all dress and decorate yourself handsomely. Smear your bodies with sandalwood paste and then circumambulate the cows, the brahmanas, and the sacred fires and Govardhan hill.
So, circumambulate that. So the circumambulation, the parikram, should be taken after feeding the cows and others, after feeding Govardhan with many offerings. Shiva Goswami comments that not all the cows should be worshipped, since how many cows had Nanda Maharaj? 900,000. So they could not worship all the cows. They are practically unlimited in number. But they worshipped only the main ones, the main cows. Sanatana Goswami remarks that this activity of worshipping Govardhan does not give suffering, but rather great joy. Can someone read text 30?
Hare Krishna.
My idea, O Father, and you may carry it out if it appeals to you. Such a sacrifice will be very dear to the cows, the Brahmanas, and Govardhan hill, and also to me.
Yes. This verse indicates clearly what is pleasing to the Supreme Lord, namely pleasing the Brahmins, pleasing the cows. There is no selfish motive in this sacrifice, only unmotivated, loving devotional service to the Brahmins, to the cows, to the Supreme Lord. So this Krishna consciousness is going diametrically opposed to the modern scientific approach in which they simply want to exploit. In terms of lack of anxiety, peace, spirituality, there is no progress. It creates diseases, it creates terrorists, natural disasters, etc. This was the end of Lord Krishna's speech, which is fluent and pleasing. So it is mentioned in Nectar of Devotion that Krishna has the quality of being fluent in all languages. Krishna's speech, which defeats all good qualities in the universe, is described in the following statement by Uddhav. So that's Nectar of Devotion. The words of Krishna are so attractive that he can change immediately the heart of his opponent. His word can immediately solve all questions and problems of the world, although he does not speak very long. Each word contains volumes of meaning, which is very pleasing to the heart. So now I have a question to you. Krishna is speaking very pleasingly. So what is it that the Vrajavasis make to accept Krishna's proposal? Why do they accept Krishna's proposal? They are not arguing with Krishna, not asking questions. Why is that?
Because they love him and they respect Krishna.
They love and to respect him. That's certainly one aspect. Any other points?
They don't want make Krishna by not listening to him. They don't want to make Krishna sad or unhappy. They just want to make them happy. For them, the Krishna satisfaction is everything.
Yeah, they want to please Krishna. Sundari Gopi?
Maharaj, they have full faith in him. Somehow, that things have been, through the experience that it has been taken care Though I mean they don't know that he is God, but things will fall in place. That is like that's the assurance that they have. When they have, that means they have so much faith that everything will be taken care. That's why they always run to him. Anything is a problem, though they don't believe he is God, but they only go to him. So that's the conviction.
Interesting, and it's just a young boy. Huh? Thank you. Any other comments? We will hear our commentators further on that. But can someone first read 31? Now Sukadeva Goswami is speaking, and Krishna has finished his speech to Nanda Maharaj.
Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Krishna, who is himself powerful time, desired to destroy the false pride of Lord Indra. When Nanda and other senior men of Vrindavan heard Shri Krishna's statement, they accepted his words as proper.
Yeah, interesting is that Krishna speaks to Nanda Maharaj and he says at the end, yeah, this is my proposal. If it appeals for you, you can do it. So it's not it seems to be very detached, but he knows Nanda Maharaj will do it. That Shiva Goswami points out, who can oppose Lord Krishna's desire? Who can oppose it? That Krishna desires, that is speaking so sweet, so you cannot do anything else. Because who can oppose Lord Krishna's desire? By his desire, everything happens. So the whole creation happens just by his will, his desire. That he controls everyone by his beauty. What to speak of using his words? There's the complaint of the gopis to Krishna that we are so attracted to you, we cannot forget you. We cannot do our household chores anymore because we are always thinking of you. So you have stolen our minds just by your beauty. That this is the most attractive, the most beautiful Krishna. So if we become so attracted by his beauty, what with his words, but Lord Indra saw Krishna as a material human, just as a material living entity. And that appears from the Bhagavatam 10:25-3. That's the next chapter. There, the Lord Indra will say, just see how discovered men living in the forest, having become so greatly intoxicated, they have surrendered to an ordinary human being, Krishna, and thus they have offended the gods. That is what Indra thinks. So he doesn't see Krishna as very special. But it is said then in 32:33. Can someone read the translation? Yes.
The cowherd community then did all that Madhusudana had suggested. They arranged for the Brahmana to recite the auspicious Vedic mantras, and using the Pansalya and have been intended for Indra's sacrifice. They presented offering to Govardhana hill and the Brahmanas with reverential respect. They also gave grass to cows, then placed the cows, bulls and calves in front of them. They circumambulated the Govardhana.
Yes. So the residents of Vrindavan, they just loved Krishna. They were not concerned with Indra or with ritualistic ceremonies or with karma mimamsa philosophy which was spoken by Krishna. They didn't care about that. Because they were devoted to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Truth, the essential truth underlying all other truths. They were most fortunate and intelligent. So Jiva Goswami quotes the Harivamsa. Gokul was filled with great joy and shouts generating bliss. Instruments blared and bulls and calves roared. The cows were joyful. And then Jiva Goswami writes, there were lakes of yogurt, whirlpools of cream, and rivers of milk. That's quite an explanation, quite a description of the festival that Jiva Goswami, the spiritual master of Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami writes, they offered all items as previously instructed by Lord Krishna to Govardhana hill. That's then Sanatana Goswami quotes Harivamsa. If you are merciful to the cows, then from today you should worship me. So that is Govardhana speaking. Krishna takes the form of Govardhana. And Govardhana says, I'm your first devata. I fulfill all the desires and am most auspicious. By my power you drink the nectar of the cows. I will be auspicious for you, my devotees, in all the forests. I will enjoy with you just as I do in the spiritual world. Being pleased with all the celebrated cowards headed by Nanda, I will give you great wealth. The Brahmins and cows, along with the cows, should circumambulate me. I will be the most satisfied with this, without doubt. So, yes. Can someone read 34?
As the beautifully ornamented cowherd ladies followed along, riding on wagons drawn by oxen, they sang the glories of Lord Krishna, and their songs mingled with the Brahmanas' chanting of benedictions. Thank you.
Yeah. So, the cowherd men and women went around the hill while yoking bulls on the ox carts and getting in the carts while singing the glories of Krishna. Jiva Goswami, he quotes Harivamsa. The people of Gokul and the Lord of Vrindavan then began circumambulating Govardhana in order to worship it, surrounded by many bulls. The thousands of cows had golden crowns and bracelets with gold-tipped horns and moved quickly in joy. The cows followed them, protecting their treasures, decorated with tilak, red, yellow and dark-colored cloth, and peacock feathers, with weapons in their hands, with peacock feathers in their hair. They appeared splendid. Some rode on bulls, and others danced in joy. Others, moving quickly, herded the cows. The cowards took their best bulls with them. The women rode on carts and went around Govardhana. The word Shah is repeated to indicate that both the men and women participated in this important event without distinction. The women especially are described as singing the glories of Krishna. In starting the sacrifice for Govardhana, the Brahmins went along with the women. Now, Srila Prabhupada from Krishna book, he gives a description of the ladies chanting. It says, hearing the melodies of the ladies, the cuckoos anxiously try to learn the singing from them. So ears attain the purpose by perceiving the auspicious sounds. The cows were adorned with gold-plated horns, colorful silk clothes, and on their backs, pearl necklaces and tingling bells hanging from their necks. Seeing their mother so ornamented, the calves jumped excitedly. Nanda Maharaj brought the necessary articles from his house to worship Govardhana hill. He initiated the puja by respectfully offering padya water towards Kiraj's feet. He made the Anakuta offering complete with powerful peaks, delighting all attendants. The peaks were rising up in the middle of the hill, looked as a crown of white camphor. All these hills with hills of rice, hills of cakes. So the multicolored cakes stood at the side of the Anakut hill. At the base of the hill there were clay pots full of milk, yogurt and sweet rice. There were also colorful subjits and lakes of dal and soup. So the Nectar of Devotion offers a comment on this pastime on the subject of laziness in devotional service. Very interesting. How we can use laziness in devotional service. When because of self-satisfaction or dislike or excessive labor, a person does not perform his duty in spite of having the energy, is called lazy. This laziness also is manifested in ecstatic love of Krishna. For example, when some Brahmins were requested by Nanda Maharaj to circumambulate Govardhana hill, they told him that they were more interested in offering benedictions than in circumambulating Govardhana. This is an instance of laziness caused by self-satisfaction. No, these Brahmins did not circumambulate the hill. They were standing somewhere to give blessings and receive some dakshin. Now text 30. That was, The next one.
Maharaj, after you eat so much prasadam, so much laddus and everything, you can't walk. So it's better sit and offer blessings.
Yeah, that may be also. So, then can someone read text 35?
Krishna then assumed an unprecedented huge form to instill faith in the cowherdmen, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. He ate the abundant offerings.
Yes. So Krishna took the form of Govardhan, the used form of Govardhan, and said, I'm Govardhan mountain. So when this is from Krishna book. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan hill. in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship Krishna in the temples. The followers of the Krishna consciousness movement may therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, to increase the faith of all those present, Krishna assumed the form of the deity of the hill. He assumed a form with all senses, which was like a second mountain on top of Govardhan, Anyatama. Shiva Goswami adds that by appearing on top of Govardhan, he directly enjoyed the offerings after they were offered. Harivamsa says, seeing the form of the mountain decorated with brilliant garlands and sandalwood on top of the mountain, the cowards in joy approached it. Can someone read 36?
Krishna.
Yes.
Now then, Arjun and okay, that is done. Together with the people of Raj, the Lord went down to this form of Govardhana hill, thus in effect offering obeisances to himself. Then he said, just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. Thank you.
Yes. So it is clear that Lord Krishna expanded himself, appearing as Govardhan Hill and simultaneously in his form as a child. So both are there. It's in the purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that Krishna can take any form he desires. Also, the form of a snake who will kill those who disrespect the sacrifice. So those who are not honoring this festival will be bitten by a snake, and it will be Krishna who will take the form of a snake. It is Vishwanath Chakravarti says. So this Govardhan Hill, assuming any form he wishes, will kill any residents of the forest who neglect him. Therefore, let us pay ourselves obeisance to him. Yeah, that's text 37. Can someone read 37?
This Govardhan Hill, assuming any form he wishes, will kill any residents of the forest who neglect him. Therefore, let us pay our obeisances to him for the safety of ourselves and our cows.
Yes. That I think I have somewhere a comment here. We are at chapter 24. Just a moment. I'll find it here. Oh yeah, here. It's from Krishna book. Krishna also declared at that meeting that one who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as described by me. What were the Govardhan spoke? What were the exact words spoken by him? That is mentioned in the Harivamsa. Haribamsa says, if you are merciful to the cows, then from today you should worship me. I'm your first devata. I fulfill all desires and am most auspicious. By my power you drink the nectar of the cows. I will be auspicious for you, my devotees in all the forest. Yeah, we read that before. But then I will enjoy with you just as I do in the spiritual world. Being pleased with all the celebrated cows headed by Nanda, I will give you great wealth. The Brahmins and cows along with the calves should circumambulate me. I will be most satisfied with it, without a doubt. And now the last verse of the chapter. Yeah. Can someone read?
Maharaj, in the purport,
Yeah.
is this quote from, according to Srila Goswami, the Lord presented 6 theological points in this chapter.
Yeah.
Could you please spend some time on this 6?
I discussed them before. In the beginning I mentioned them all 6. But we come back to this. We can first read here the last translation. Someone can read? 38.
The members of the Prophet community, having thus been inspired by Lord Vasudeva to properly execute the sacrifice to Govardhan Hill, the cows and the Brahmanas returned with Lord Krishna to their village, Braja.
Okay. So read the purport also.
Yes, Maharaj. Although the Govardhan Puja was performed in a blissful and successful way, the matter was hardly finished. Lord Indra is, after all, tremendously powerful, and he received the news of the Govardhana sacrifice with burning anger. What ensued will be described in the following chapter. Thus ends the purports of humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, to the 10th canto's 24th chapter.
Thank you. So we will now have a pause till 6:35.
Recording stopped.
And then we will discuss this Karma Mimamsa philosophical points and other points that thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I have to
Recording in progress.
apologize to you for only following half the classes because VIH scheduled me to teach Bhakti Shastri as from this time every day, and I'm finishing today, so
Yeah.
and they kind of overlap, so I have to leave each time.
Yeah.
Sorry about this.
It's okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Today we are finishing chapter 17, so
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Good. Hare Krishna. So first about this Karma Mimamsa. I want to go with you to Canto 1. I think it's chapter 17. Verse 19. This verse, Maharaj Pariksit is asking the bull, who is standing only on one leg, who is the perpetrator who has done that to you? And the bull answered, I don't know. There are so many speculations about this, so many philosophies. I don't know who is the perpetrator. And here you have the translation. that the Buddha is speaking, the representative of Dharma. Some of the philosophers, those who deny all sorts of duality, declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. So who is responsible? That so like Karma Mimamsa says, it's activity which is responsible. Karma is supreme. You get karma, you get your reactions. And Srila Prabhupada defeats that. This Karma Mimamsa from Jamini. As referred to both philosophers like Jamini and his followers established the fruit of activity is the root cause of all distress and happiness. And that even if there is a superior authority, some superhuman powerful god or gods, they are also under the influence of activity because they reward a result according to one's action. So that is Karma Mimamsa. That is also what Krishna says. If there is some God in control, is also under this law of karma. Karma is supreme. That they say that action is not independent, but because action is performed by some performer, therefore the performer must himself is the cause of his own happiness and distress. So in the Bhagavad Gita also it is confirmed that by one's mind freed from material affection, one can deliver himself from the sufferings of material pangs. So one should not entangle oneself in a matter by the mind's material affection. Thus one's mind is one's friend or enemy in one's material happiness and distress. So yes, this is Karma Mimamsa. Karma Mimamsa is one of the 6 darshans, 6 speculative philosophies. Moment, I stop this. So we have, of course, Karma Mimamsa is one of them. There are 6 darshans: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, and then Yoga, Karma Mimamsa, and Vedanta. And they have all the defect that they give a certain opinion that about the cause of things, but they are all starting somewhere in the middle. They are based on intermediate causes, but not the ultimate cause. Krishna is Sarva Karna Karnam, is the cause of everything, the ultimate cause. That the Nyaya, the logic, they say as they are focusing on valid means to get knowledge, pranam. So they come up with pratyaksha, that sense perception as a means to get knowledge. Of course, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the 4 defects: the cheating propensity, being in delusion, imperfect senses, and so on. And that therefore pratyaksha, we cannot understand the absolute. that Madhvacharya, when he was 18 years old, he was known as a brilliant scholar. He knew practically the Bhagavatam by heart. And some disciple of a Buddhist master came to Madhvacharya and asked, my master want to discuss with you want to debate with you about the Absolute Truth. Madhvacharya replied, the Absolute Truth cannot be known by logic. And there was no debate. So logic alone is an activity of the mind, the brain, which is material. Therefore, by logic alone, by reasoning, we cannot understand anything about the Absolute Truth, because the brain, the mind is a product of material nature. Yeah, because Krishna is translogical. That we have logic, we have illogical and translogical. And that it's not logic to say that one person is in one place and cannot be at another place at the same time. It's not possible. But for Krishna it's possible. He can be all-pervading and can be in Goloka Vrindavan as a person at the same time. That is translogical. So Nyaya is not a way to understand the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth can be understood by Sabda Brahman, transcendental knowledge. And then you have Vaisheshika. It's founded by Kanada. Nyaya was from Gautama, but Vaisheshika is Kanada. And that it is a theory that everything comes from eternal atoms. And that so it explains different categories but if one understands that everything is made of eternal atoms, that would help one someone to attain liberation. But Vaisheshika, but they don't explain where do these atoms come from. It's again something intermediate. What is the cause of all these atoms? Krishna says, I'm in every atom. So, and then you have Sankhya, not the Sankhya by devotee Kapila Dev, the real Sankhya in the Bhagavatam. But this is the Sankhya, and it starts also somewhere in the middle. It starts with Prakriti and Purush. But where does Prakriti and Purush come from? And how did Purush become attracted to Prakriti? So it has also its defects. And then you have the yoga system, Astanga Yoga, Patanjali. So it's a method to come to spiritual realization, to meditation and so on. But the idea is to merge with Brahman, to become Brahman. Also it is founded on a wrong conception that Brahman is everything that exists. And then you have Jaimini, Karma Mimamsa, what we are discussing now, and we will discuss that now a little deeper. It's concerned with interpreting the Vedas, particularly the portion, the ritual portion, they say, it teaches that if one performs one's duties, that will lead to finally the karma mimamsa, that one will get appropriate reaction according to one's actions. But this karma mimamsa we will discuss now a little deeper. And then you have Vedanta, that Vedanta is an interpretation of the Upanishads, which are reduced to aphorism, very short cryptic statements, that and by meditating on them, one becomes realized to self-knowledge, recognizing that we are spiritual. That is the atheistic Vedanta. But the real Vedanta is factually Bhaktivedanta. That is the real Vedanta. So these are the 6 atheistic darshans. In chapter 87 of Krishna book and of the 10th canto, the prayers by the Shrutis, personified Vedas, these prayers. So Prabhupada mentions that one of the qualifications to sit of the Vyasasam is that one must be able to defeat these 6 darshans, these 6 speculative philosophies. Therefore, but when you read chapter 87 of Krishna book, which you will discuss later, after studying that chapter and that, you will be able to defeat all these philosophies. That because Prabhupada in the purport in Krishna book, he explains all of them. Now we go back to where we left off.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Yeah, but now we will go to the point of discussing Canto 10. Was it the last? Here we have these 6 points by Sridhar Swami. So 6 theoretical points. Karma alone is sufficient to determine one's destiny. My question to you, is that true? That by karma alone you can know your destiny? That any comments? That
Hare Krishna.
yeah, Kanta.
Probably for all devotees, yes. More or less. Their way is predestined and hardly will change. But for devotees or for those who are going to start practicing some spiritual practice, things can be changed. I guess so.
Yeah, that's. Some astrologers said to me that devotees, it is said that devotional service change their karma, but I see in their astrological chart that their karma is not changed. What would be your reply to that?
Maharaj, am I audible?
Yes?
It looks like the karmic reaction, but it is Krishna's arrangement, sweet arrangement to pull them close to him. It's that shloka where Brahma, I feel it's the Brahma shloka, where somewhere I read that it looks externally to everybody that they are both suffering. Yes, that Samashrukiya Padapallavapamam or the other one, Tatyenu Kampa. So it is externally, but it is not like that. Krishna has a very sweet plan of, redirecting them to himself. So I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, thank you. This Tatyenu Kampam verse, Tatyenu Kampam Susamikshana Upnishatma Evatmik Itvakva Prabhir Vidadama Stechiveti Mukti Pade Sadayabak. So this verse says, yes, that, oh my Lord, you give me the reaction to my past misdeeds and I deserve it. But you are so kind, you give me only a token of the reaction. That shows Krishna changed it. He gave only a token, right? So, do we get really the karma, or Krishna just take it away? And that another consideration is that this body is made of karma. If Krishna takes our karma away, we disappear. Lord Chaitanya did that in South Africa, in South India, In South India, he was there. On his tour, he was embracing trees, and the trees disappeared to the spiritual world. So the karma was gone. So we have this prarabdha karma, that karma is still there. If it's not there anymore, we disappear. So prarabdha karma is to go on. That Krishna does not take it away, because otherwise we disappear. And Prabhupada said it's like a fan. A fan, you stop you plug it out from the electricity, it still goes for somewhat and then stops. So that's in the case of a devotee. But there's more to say, because the question is, karma alone is sufficient to determine one's destiny. That's Prabhupada mentions this, comments on this verse of Prahlad Maharaj, in which Prahlad Maharaj said, you may have the best doctor with the best medicine, but still the patient may die. Or the patient may cure. Prabhupada writes, there's karma alone is not sufficient, he writes there. There's also the will of the Lord. So that means karma alone is not sufficient to determine one's destiny. Because one's destiny, certainly not on the spiritual platform. Because Krishna says, yam yam vapi swambram antikalevram tam tam aveta kantya. Yeah, so whatever one's last thoughts at the time of death, this determines one's next body. So if we are Krishna conscious, at the time of death, we get a spiritual body. So it's also a free will. But that free will can only be executed really by devotees. Because non-devotees are identifying with the mind, and therefore karma comes to the mind. They must follow their karma. Any thoughts on this? Comments on that point?
Maharaj, a couple of more points that, Icha Dvesha Samutena. Krishna says one comes to birth and death cycle because of Icha and desires, and Dvesha, the grana that he has for the world, for people. So Icha is desires. What kind of desires we develop? That comes through association. So destiny from the last birth, there is something settled from last birth, the major coordinates are set. But then what desires I develop, what devotional attitude I develop, that can adjust my life during this lifetime and determine the next life. And then in the same thing, when I'm engaged in devotional service through my desire, because of my desires to serve, I get blessings of the Lord, of the devotees. That again shifts my destiny.
Interesting. So it's not only Krishna, it's also his pure devotee who can change your karma. That's interesting. Because we have seen Prahlad Maharaj became a pure devotee just by the blessings, ardent blessings of Narada Muni. He blessed him in the womb, and he became a pure devotee.
Like this effort of Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, all of us together are doing this major big yajna of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. That is, I strongly feel that is changing our destiny.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you. Very interesting comment. Sundari Gopi, please.
So on the same lines what Prabhuji said, actually there is thoughts and then there are words. The thoughts will determine our words and the words will determine our action and action determines the destiny. So because same thing what Prabhuji said, because we are reading, our thought process is like trying to be Krishna conscious. So destiny has to be towards what you are thinking. So this whatever the mind is trained to do now, in Krishna consciousness, our destiny is guided in that direction. So this is something I wanted to add.
Yeah, that makes the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. Because a non-devotee, its thoughts coming in our mind, they are coming from material modes of nature and identifies with it. So it's going along with his karma. But the devotee, he discriminates, he gets thoughts and desires and will decide to follow these desires or not based on a Krishna conscious approach. And that changes his destination. That, at least for the future. Good. Now we have the second point, that one's conditioned nature is the supreme controller. So one's conditioned nature is one's supreme controller. Is that true? That if that would be true, we are all wasting our time here.
Yeah.
Any comments?
The nature is again dependent on the past birth, that we are provided certain type of born in certain kind of family, in certain kind of arrangements, in certain kind of intelligence. Janma Aishwarya Shutashri, right? All of this is provided based on past birth. That cannot be the supreme controller. There is Bhagavan, who is the supreme controller. That is actually not brought in here. It's completely taken out of context. There is no Bhagavan.
No, No,
So,
but it may be true that one's conditioned nature is controller, not the supreme, but it is the controller. Krishna says twice in Bhagavad Gita, you must act according to your nature. That you must act. So it's very important in our teachings. But that nature, we need to change it, we need to use it in Krishna's service. And then we can change it. Because then we become purified of this conditioned nature and come to our spiritual nature. Does that make sense?
yeah, yes, Maharaj.
That is a supreme controller. The third point is that, of course, supreme controller, that Krishna is supreme controller of the laws of nature. And by the laws of nature, we acquire a certain conditioned nature. So nature is not a supreme controller. Nature is acting according to certain laws, and Krishna is the lawmaker. Okay. Point 3, that the modes of nature are the supreme controller. Any comments?
So the modes are like ropes, like shackles.
Yeah.
Depending on which mode we are in, the shackle is tight or loose. So, but Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita spends quite a bit of time explaining different modes and their influences, meaning that we can elevate ourselves to upper modes, to mode of goodness, come out of tamaguna. So, and then we can change, the control of the material nature a little bit with the influence of the modes.
Yeah.
But they can be changed. They're not fixed, is all I'm saying.
Mm.
And they can be transcended also by devotion.
Yeah, Mamsya Vyabhacharina Bhaktiruna Sevata Sakata Sakadan Samatichitam Brahma Viya Kalpati. At once one transcends the modes of nature. Yeah. Sundari Gopi, please.
So Maharaj, in one class, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu had told that the modes, they compel us. No, they impel us, but they don't compel us. They push us, but they cannot tighten us like. So we have that free will in between the two, compelling and impelling.
Yeah.
So we just have to keep awareness. What's happening? Am I getting compelled? Impelling is still, acceptable because we are humans and we are still trying to, that Mamcha Yoga Vicharana, that transition has to happen. But till that, impelling has to be observed and compelling has to be avoided. Something that I heard from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and I really liked it.
Yeah, it means devotees can use their free will. That non-devotees cannot. They identify with their body, with the mind, with the modes of nature. But the devotee can execute his free will and observe that, am I controlled by this material nature? How can shall I be the slave of these senses and this mind? Or shall I use it as an instrument that in the service of Krishna? That is our freedom. That therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you get that freedom when you follow the regulative principles of freedom. He says that. Otherwise, but most people in this world do not follow these regulative principles of freedom and become controlled. So for the materialistic people, the modes of material nature, they are controlled by them. But the devotee not. He can escape to a certain extent that I give an example. We can escape all addictions. That when we are addicted, smoking and the alcohol addiction, drugs, and so on, it's very difficult for them to get out. Very difficult. So they become the slave of the lower nature, impelled by the lower modes. They become the slave of matter. Of course, the devotee is not completely free from it. He must also maintain his body. He must go to the toilet. He must also do things, but he's less conditioned, less. So then there is that the Supreme Lord is simply an aspect of karma. That's quite offensive, that statement. It's saying that the Supreme Lord is also a human being, like a human being under the laws of karma.
This can apply to the devatas, demigods, right, Maharaj?
That the Supreme Lord, yeah.
No, not Supreme. The devatas are under karma. Supreme Lord is above. So, but this definition could be modified to say, okay, could apply to the devatas.
To a certain extent, that's right, because they become devatas by their own karma, and they must do their work and give the results to people according to their karma. So that's in two ways that they are controlled by karma, under the control of karma. The last one, that one's occupation is the actual worshipful deity. Is that true? That work leads to liberation.
Maharaj, these points actually is very common in modern world. This is what people say, work is worship. People use these kind of terms and they don't talk about Bhagavan at all. There's no Bhagavan. There's nothing about elevating or coming out. They say, especially in India, it's very common. Work is worship. You just work. That's your worship.
Yeah, in Auschwitz, the concentration camp in Auschwitz, on the entrance there was it was made in metal by the Germans. It said Arbeit macht frei. That means work will make you free.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Yes, and there you go.
So, Maharaj, at one level, yes, is it not that because Krishna says, Ata Chittam Simadatum, if you can't do this, put your chitta on me, then you go down, and then at last he says, you do your occupational duty. So at level, it is occupational duty that is actually going to be indirectly taking them to the process of liberation. My question. At one level, yes, is it not?
Yes, that one's occupation will. Krishna says you have to do your duty. Karmane vatikaraste mafalesh kadashna. Don't be attached to the result. Do your duty, and it will purify you. It will bring you to liberation. But Krishna says, okay, you have to do your occupational duty, but you have to do it as an offering to me. And that brings it a step further. That means as an offering to me, the worshipful deity must be Krishna, not your work. That's the next step. So on the first step, that may be true. One does one duty without attachment to the results. That in the Varnashram I do my duty, and Haritoshnam, it's all for Krishna at the end. But it will not bring one to the next step unless one performs devotional service. And that so in all these statements here, well, some of them, there is some half truth in it, but Krishna uses it that expertly in his.
Maharaj, so I just had a question. So in case, somebody has that, only do your occupational duty, but isn't it like, that we, yes, agree with them initially, and we don't open the full truth because they are not ready for it. Our relationship with them will eventually, like Prabhupada, he didn't give the don'ts first. He gave the do's. And then, slowly he added on. So, I mean, as preachers, when we are trying to connect to people, we acknowledge that, yes, this is also, maybe it is half truth, but it's there. Because, sometimes I've seen preachers getting, okay, they want to tell everything at one go. And that person is like, please try to just accept. When we show that acceptance towards that individual's heart is open to accept what we are saying.
Yeah, that is true. Krishna warns at the end of the Bhagavad Gita that don't instruct those who do not want to be instructed by you. So sometimes we have to consult, be very careful, consult Paramatma in your heart, ask for guidance, because sometimes it's better to go incremental than trying to push the points completely true, because people are attached to their position and their thoughts and so on. That yes, because of course, Karmana Vartikaraste, you have to do your duty. That when I think 25 years ago, at the end of the 90s, I came to India and I saw these big billboards everywhere, and there was Krishna Arjuna on it, and underneath Karmana Vartikaraste, you have to do your duty. So the government wanted to do inspire everyone to do his duty. Well, very nice. But Mahaphaleshana Kachana, the second line is more important, the consciousness in which you are doing, and that's not there. That they don't mention, that don't be attached to the results. You should give the results to Krishna. And that is missing. But it's already good if people do one's duty, but then the rest must follow. So we have to be careful sometimes when we are preaching. You have to go like going in as a needle that then come out as a plug, as I don't know the proverb, but anyway, you have to be very, very careful sometimes in your preaching, not to hurt people, especially if they are attracted to other philosophies. At the same time, we have to be straightforward in our preaching, but that straightforwardness we can show to those who are ready for it. Those who are not ready for it, they don't want to be instructed by us. We have to be careful. It's a delicate subject, not easy. Sometimes we make mistakes. So these are these 6 points. Sridhar Swami mentions them. Sridhar Swami. 6 concoctions. which, but we should be able to rectify this. But Krishna wants clearly himself out of the picture as the supreme controller. And he says, material mosa, the material nature is the supreme controller, that not Indra. Just his way to convince the Vrajavasis. But like we said, that the Vrajavasis were not interested in the philosophy he was speaking, but in the rasa, that they appreciate the sweetness that and the love with which he's dealing with Nanda Maharaj, and that's what they want. Pleasing Krishna and get Krishna's love. That is Ladini Shakti, the higher spiritual energy. That philosophies on a material platform, that mostly useless. But transcendental knowledge is important for us to come to the spiritual platform and to distinguish between matter and spirit, between devotion activities and material activities. Good. Anything else?
Thank you, Maharaj, for spending time on these six points.
Yeah. So we are ahead of our schedule. Not really, because we were doing practically 2 lessons in one session. But we will start the next chapter tomorrow, and probably we will end by Saturday or latest Monday. Tuesday I have to travel anyway. So thank you very much. Please read the next chapter, and we will see each other tomorrow again.
Recording stopped.
Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you, Dhanut Pranam.
Hare Bol.